Thanks very much, Jamie. So sitting with me is Wright State Associate Professor and Relationship Coach. You might recognize her, Carol Morgan. Welcome back.
Thanks, Natalie. It's
always nice to have you here.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have you here because there's actually been several articles on the internet that have been catching our eye. And speaking of the internet, there was one that the Huffington Post posted. Huffington Post posted.
Right, it's hard to say.
It said teenagers these days are doing some pretty salacious stuff on the internet, doing and looking at some pretty salacious stuff. The usual that we can kind of think about, the violence, the pornography, that kind of stuff. But the article also said that they are hacking into websites as well, which is a little bit scary to think of. Now, the flip side to this, the scary part to this, is that they're getting so tech savvy that they know how to hide it from their parents now.
Oh, I know, that's for sure. My kids, I actually just got an iPad yesterday, and I have an 11-year-old and 9-year-old, and I said, I need to figure out how to work this. And so my 11-year-old's like, here, Mom, here's just how you do it. I'm like, how do you know how to do that? And I have a nephew who's 4, and he, from time he was 1, he could just take my sister's iPhone and he just intuitively knew how to use it. And all of us are like, how do they know that? But I don't know if it's just intuitive for them or what, but I think that's all the reason more that us parents need to really stay plugged into what they're doing. Even if we don't understand what they're doing, that's all the more reason to really keep plugged in and an eye on them. I mean, remember back like in Columbine when, I don't know, that kid whoever blew up or shot people had bombs in his room. Like, how does a kid sneak in bombs?
How do you not know that?
And that's the extreme, obviously.
It is, but I mean, it's been going on. The McAfee, which is the online security company, they said that about 70% of teens are hiding online behavior. That's a big number.
That is.
And they're using things that a lot of parents are not aware of, like clearing their browsing history, clearing the cache. Do you recommend that parents start learning a little bit more about the internet so that they can keep tabs on this?
Well, I would say that would help, but I know for me, I'm kind of stuck in the Stone Age. Me and technology don't really get along that well. But I know that there are a lot of other people out there like me, too, who don't really understand technology like their kids do. So it could help to definitely stay up on that stuff. But I think more importantly, stay plugged into your kids. At least that's my particular perspective. I mean, I know since my kids are like, they could talk, 2 or 3. At the dinner table, I'd say, well, how's your day and what's going on? So they're used to talking to me about stuff.
Well, speaking of talking, if you can maybe nip it in the bud by having a conversation with your kids, how do you talk to your teenagers about something like this? Because teenagers can get very defensive when you try and approach a subject like this with
kids.
them.
I've even talked to my kids about it. I mean, they're not on Facebook yet or anything, but I know there'll come a day when they will be. And I said, there are some things that are very inappropriate for kids to see or kids to do, or for you to post anything on Facebook, or there are creepy people out there who will pose as a friend and they want to kidnap you or something. You don't want to scare them, but just to make them aware that there are certain issues that you should be aware of, and certain people and certain things they shouldn't see. So just having that open line of communication, I think, is really important, but establishing it as early as you can.
Well, and I think what was interesting also about this article is that they said that 73% of parents believed that their kids would voluntarily not visit those inappropriate sites. Well, a little bit of a disparity there.
I don't know if you've ever seen those shows on Oprah where they say, oh, my kids would never get into a car with a stranger, and then all of them do, and then the parents are horrified. And I even said that to my kids. Every time I'm like, do not get into a car. I'm like, oh, Mom, I never would, but they show that kids really do that stuff, even though they may know better. When the time comes, oh, it's tempting, or oh, they're too trusting. Perhaps.
Sure. If you approach a conversation with your kids like this, they may be lying to your face about what they're doing on the internet because they know it's going to get them in trouble. So, at what point do you have a conversation with your kids about lying and keeping integrity, and how do you explain integrity to a child?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm not so sure that even adults understand where the lines are with integrity. I mean, you have Facebook. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've heard about where they've reconnected with an old flame from high school and had this sort of secret email thing going on, even if they lived on other parts of the country. So there's a lot of iffiness with integrity and lying, and where do you draw those lines? Because sometimes integrity is a matter of opinion. For me, it's kind of like, well, either you lied or you didn't. But maybe you're not lying. Maybe you're just not telling someone something. That's a problem with integrity, but not necessarily
lying by omission, and that gets into a gray area.
What I like to say, like Dr. Phil always says this, and I love Dr. Phil, and he says, hey, if you have a question about whether you should be doing this or not, would you be willing to post it on Facebook? Would you be willing to tell your wife? Would you be willing? And if the answer is no, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Oh, that's a great concrete example to give a child.
Should you go and tell everybody what you're doing? And if you're comfortable with that, then it's probably fine. But if not, then probably not being very honest.
True. So we've got the internet as a major influencer. There's also Disney, major influencer for kids and teens as well. But the president of Disney Channel Worldwide just recently said in an article to The Hollywood Reporter, Disney's not responsible for raising kids. So on the issue of how we raise our kids in the home. So he's addressing criticisms from the public that they're branding teen stars, and the teen stars are putting out poor images even though kids on Disney are watching them. So we've got the Miley Cyrus, Shia LaBeouf, Demi Lovato, Vanessa Hudgens. They've all had kind of slip-ups in the public eye.
Oh, yeah.
And he's saying, essentially, parents are the ones that should parent, not Disney. Does he have a point?
Actually, I do agree with him. I'm not saying that Disney doesn't have some sort of responsibility, but I think our culture as a whole does not take personal responsibility for anything.
Yeah.
Like, I love the South Park movie from many years ago, but there's this one part where they're blaming, I mean, all the kids are violent, and so they're like, well, we got to blame somebody, so they go marching and singing, let's blame Canada. They're blaming Canada, and I love South Park because they make a really good comment about our society, so I don't think that we, either as parents or as just human beings, take enough responsibility. And when you have a child, it is your responsibility.
It is.
I don't care if they are a Disney star. You need to give them the right tools and the right values to succeed in life. And the Disney stars are just the only ones. I mean, the child star phenomenon has been happening for so many years. Where they've been overdosing, or they've been accidentally killing themselves or something.
It's a conversation we could have for a long time. It's a multi-layered conversation. But thank you for coming on and talking on it with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming, Carol.